Yeah, brother, we appreciate it. We got Brandon Lee Gowton set to join us right now here on Birds 365. BLG joins us. You can follow him on X at Brandon Gowton. Read all his work at bleedinggreennation.com. Make an account, go and interact with the people over there. BLG, thanks for joining the program today, my friend. How you doing on this Wednesday morning?
A lot to talk about, guys.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, was it April Fool's? That maybe not the best day to come out with ESPN. Our buddy Tim McManus, Jeremy Fowler involved as well. Pretty exhaustive piece. I assume you've gotten a chance to digest it. What'd you think? It's a lot of the stuff is what we've talked about, but to see it there all laid out, and I don't know. I think a lot of people think it's negative. I don't necessarily look at it as negative. I think it's a good explanation about what's been going on.
I agree. And I don't think it's a hit piece by any means because it's pretty balanced. There's a lot of pushback on some of the critiques within the own article of Jalen there. So I think, point of view in there. And I think that kind of tells the story of there are certainly people who are probably pretty frustrated with Jalen Hurts. There are other people who are like, why are we frustrated? We're winning a lot. This is a really good thing. So, and the truth is everything can be true. Like more than one thing can be true here.
Oh yeah. I can tell you who's not frustrated. Jeffrey Lurie. I've never heard somebody talk that effusively about another human being. Exactly. It was unbelievable.
And his opinion matters most, right? So,
yeah, I mean, if you're Jalen, you might not give a rat's ass what anybody else thinks. That's the only guy you need in your corner, BLG.
But obviously, with the passage of time here, if the results don't continue to be what they've been, and there are warning signs, I think it's fair to say, when you have a season like you did last year, the offense underperforming to that degree, if that were to happen again this year, and for similar reasons to be, the case, then, that's when Jeffrey Lurie might suddenly not be so effusive of Jalen Hurts at that point in time. So it is a big year in terms of the offense underperformed so much, and Jeffrey Lurie's not going to tolerate that for very long. And he's obviously not going to start with Jalen Hurts as the root of the problem, but eventually he might end up there if it continues to be a problem. And if not, and if the Eagles are going to continue to win and be on this great pace and Jalen Hurts plays well, then he's going to probably get another contract and put himself in a great position. So I do agree with the premise that it is like a crossroads kind of season.
What do you think it is, though? Do you think that's the truth, that it is partly on Jalen? I mean, the reason that the offense hasn't been able to, get to where they want to go. I mean, Jeffrey Lurie did say it, hey, we're not happy about what the offense going the other direction. Where do you put it on, BLG?
Yeah, again, it's a matter of where I start. Like I don't start with Jalen Hurts here, but I do put a lot of it on him in the big picture, in part just because the Eagles do as well in terms of how they pay him. Like you don't pay him $250 million to be kind of like, oh, he's like the 10th biggest problem with the offense. No, that's not why you pay someone that money. And conversely, if the Eagles offense was playing well, no one would be like, well, okay, Jalen Hurts, he's like the 10th biggest reason why the offense is playing well. No, everyone would say he's like the MVP or one of the very biggest reasons the offense is looking good if that was the case. So, it works both ways there. I think Jalen has to be better than he was last season. I think that much is clear. And I think they're clear, at least, efforting from the coaching side to try to give him more tools. But it's up to him to embrace that at the same time.
Yeah, that's my biggest red flag with the piece and the aspect that you mentioned the coaching staff is working to give him answers. Does he want those answers? Because it's pretty clear, and this further validates it. He's not that comfortable with turning his back to the defense. He's not that comfortable with a lot of motion, a lot of eye candy. And the Eagles have built their offense with that in mind. Now, by all indications, and Nick Sirianni said it again at the coaches' breakfast, they're going all in on this Shanahan-McVay style offense. Is this almost forcing the quarterback to evolve in a way, and should they be doing that?
I think they're certainly challenging him, and I think they should be after some of the results we saw last year. It is funny to me, all of this is not that incredibly dissimilar to what we heard about Carson Wentz.
I know, it's incredible. It really is incredible.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? Is it a mere coincidence that it's these two people who are very different in a lot of ways are the same, or is it more of, do the Eagles have like a quarterback problem in terms of like the how they quarterback environment problem, let's say, in terms of how the organization treats that position and maybe handles that where maybe they feel a little too empowered and maybe have an outsized influence where they shouldn't. Now, part of that is, again, when you give them that contract, that kind of goes hand in hand with that. It also, I'm imagining a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL in similar places probably have strong opinions as well. I don't think just every top paid quarterback is like, no, I don't care what we run. Tell me what to do, coach, and I'll show up. Like, I think they probably have loud voices too, and I think that's some kind of context that can get missed here in the bigger picture. But yeah, so I think to tie a bow on that, I think the Eagles kind of have like a hand in this. They have to look at themselves in the mirror too. It's not just about the player.
What'd you make of the part where the infamous fourth, what was it, 4th and 11 or 4th and 13, whatever it was, in the 49er game? That was apparently the recommendation of Jalen Hurts. Well, Kevin Patullo, he took a lot of shit for that play called BLG. What'd you make of that part of the report?
But even within that, there was a line about how like Jalen Hurts was apparently like responding maybe to something they talked about philosophically in that situation. So, I mean, yeah, that's like the crux of that conversation is that maybe that's a part of the problem with the offense all year. Is there's a lot of different voices, and who at what point is someone getting their way? Maybe it's Jalen a lot, but also like the coaching staff. What are they doing? If it's just as simple as Jalen gets his way, like how are they helping? Like, does Nick Sirianni not have enough credentials, certainly at this point in time, to push back? And because I feel like the coaching staff needs to it. You can't let the quarterback run roughshod over the offense entirely. There has to be some level of like, this is what we're doing. It can't be all the time. There has to be some balance of that, and that balance doesn't seem to be there to me.
Nick famously kind of looked like a goofball in Seattle a couple years ago when Jalen and AJ went off script. Did the same thing in Green Bay. Evidently, Jalen and AJ went off script trying for the kill shot in Green Bay. Nick kind of looked like a nut job. Protected his players. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's well intended for sure. I think we can all agree on that. I mean, those are different situations to me in the sense that the Green Bay decision, like the analytics kind of favored punt there.
Yeah.
So I don't even think the offense should have been out on the field. I think they should have punted the ball. But I mean, it's good in that I think, it's like the Andy Reid of it all. Like, I got to do a better job. You're shielding your players, but it also seems bad from a standpoint of and I think a lot of this comes down to like trust and Jalen not trusting. It doesn't seem like there's like trust always in the coaching staff and what they're calling. And that has to be earned. Like, it's not just like blind trust. So I think that's a part of the problem with the dynamic as well.
And some of that might have to do with the fact that there's a new play caller every year, like one of our super chatters pointed out earlier today. I mean, does Jalen, everyone's like, oh, Jalen makes the call. Well, Jalen knows that he's the only constant, he's the only common denominator throughout the course of time with this offense. Maybe that's a big part of it. I don't know that it justifies, what's happened, but I do think it's a fair way to look at it for the quarterback. I don't know if that, I don't know how that impacts moving forward, but BLG, my next question for you would be, what does this mean for moving forward? The other part of the article was, well, now you have a new coordinator coming in who's going to try this Shanahan-McVay style offense, which naturally just has more motion and has more play action and things like that, where Jalen's going to have to turn his back to the defense and things of that nature.